What is up, Laker fans? This is King Watch LA, Daniel Beltz. Just going to be talking about Lakers free agency, basically Lakers trades, Lakers draft, and where did the Lakers go from here after winning championship number 17? And I mean, nowhere really to go but just stay where you're at. That's why we re-signed two of the best players in the entire world, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Rob Pelinka pulled off one hell of a, normally you would call it summer, but I guess it's a winter because this was one of the craziest free agency times in my opinion, because the season ended a month and a half ago and you had to fit draft, free agency, trades, and then preseason's coming up and training camp all under 2 months, basically. Not even 2 months. They basically tried to speed this up in a month, and I don't know how it's going to turn out with injuries and whatnot for the rest of the season, but we're back. Laker Nation is back. I don't think I've actually recorded a basketball podcast since championship night when the Lakers did win number 17 and send the Miami Heat home, and it's been one hell of a ride. And it's nice to see that not only did we get to experience that journey, but it looks like the journey is going to continue. AD and LeBron are signed both at least till 2023. We signed key role players that not only fit our current timeline, but our future timeline. We got a lot younger this offseason, whereas last year's team was kind of like vet heavy. This year, we've signed some guys that are under the age of 30, whereas last year, a lot of our role players were 30 plus, like Rondo, JaVale, and Dwight. This year, we have Schroeder, Trez, and just some of the other young guys that we got. So it's just looking like, I don't know. If you talked to Laker fans last year, we always said, yes, our team is great this year, but we have a chance to get better next season. This is what we meant. This is basically what we thought was going to happen. Yes, we wanted to win championship year one, but we also said if that doesn't happen, we have an opportunity to get better next season because we have, I wouldn't say would have had the cap space to make some moves, but we're the Lakers. We're going to have ways to get better every single year if we have a duo. Last year, we kind of had to wait around to see what the pieces were looking like after Kawhi. And this time, we didn't wait around for a potential third player to join us. Rob and Jeannie and the rest of the Lakers front office just went after best available, made the Schroeder trade happen on draft night, and they get an A+ for putting together the team they did for the 2021 season, because after the 1920 season, where we did win championship number 17, we're going to have the shortest turnaround from a champion ever. So we're going to need young, fresh legs. What do they do to get that? They get the sixth man of the year and the sixth man of the year runner-up, both under the age of 30. Both can play heavy minutes when needed. Both basically play starter minutes, just don't have the starter title. That's what Rob Pelinka did, knowing LeBron James is entering year 18, age of 36. There are going to be some nights where he doesn't play. There are going to be some nights where he will want to only play around 30 minutes. What do? You go get young players that can score, that can lead teams when those players don't play. Because yes, you can get role players, but if you get like a certain role player that can score at will, which is what Dennis Schroeder and Trez can do in the pick and roll, that's going to look very nice on the nights LeBron James or Anthony Davis doesn't play. And Anthony Davis coming off of his longest season of his career, where he looked hobbled at the end of the finals, but still powered through and put up one hell of a performance, winning his first championship. There are probably certain nights he's going to rest as well, even though he is young. He's going to need some rest because he has been playing for basically the past year and a half and went through some injuries. And I wouldn't say injury prone, but he does get hurt a lot. He just fights through those injuries. So I don't know. It's cool to see Rob not be complacent. And that's what he talked about after the championship. He said, yes, we want to celebrate what we just did, but we know every other team in the NBA is going to try to be better than they were last year. And in my opinion, we got way better than we were last year. And for as much talk as how the Lakers replace Dwight, JaVale, Rondo, etc. Before last season, every other team's fan base, every other team's media was calling all three of those signings trash, just as the Avery Bradley signing as well. When Avery Bradley didn't go to the bubble, we heard, how are you going to be able to win without Avery Bradley? Although last summer we heard Avery Bradley was trash. Now we're hearing the same thing. Marc Gasol can't play. He got exposed in the bubble. Trez can't play, and Wes Matthews is old and not as good as Danny Green. Again, we'll let those players play next to Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and you tell me how they look 4 or 5 months from now. So we can just circle back on what you said currently about those players and see how that matches up, because that's what happened last year when you put those role players next to the best duo in the league. So it's exciting to see that the Lakers not only added free agents and Dennis Schroeder through the trade, but also kept some players I didn't think they were going to be able to keep. I thought if the Lakers were going to re-sign KCP, I didn't think they would actually be able to keep Markieff Morris. And both those two players are pretty important to what the Lakers want to do, not only in the regular season, but also the postseason. KCP and Markieff are known players that can knock down an open three, space the floor, and play defense. Markieff makes it to where AD doesn't have to be the enforcer in the middle at all times, whereas he would let AD kind of roam around on the wing, guard wings, and then kind of just play free safety, and Markieff kind of battle down low. And KCP, who proved himself this postseason. And KCP said, what you saw in the postseason is who I really am. And it's kind of nice to see him bet on himself and kind of get rewarded with the contract that the Lakers gave him. I didn't think the Lakers would be able to afford that. Rob Pelinka deserves all the amount of praise he's going to get for working the salary cap, working the hard cap, and just finding ways to kind of fit his contract in, as well as Bron's, AD's, and everyone else's. We have LeBron James and Anthony Davis locked up until at least 2023. We heard AD might be a rental. We heard AD wants to go to Chicago. We heard AD is going to kind of wait around to see what Bron does. What does Anthony Davis do? We all think he's going to sign a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1. He signs for the next 4 or 5 years. He's giving basically, theoretically, his prime to the Los Angeles Lakers, which is amazing because we are a franchise that caters to superstars. And yes, we have our superstars for the long haul now, not just 1 year or 2 years. They're going to be here both at least 5 years in the Lakers jersey. And we're going to want to capitalize that and get to ring 18, ring 19. And this is just one hell of a experience to go through. Yes, for whatever reason, 10 years felt like an eternity for Laker fans because we saw them win in 2010, we saw them win in 2009, and we finally saw them win this year. So it feels like a weight has been lifted, but Laker fans, Laker players, Lakers front office, Lakers staff, everyone is hungry to get back to holding Larry O'Brien. You hear Bron speak, you hear AD, Keefe, KCP, Caruso, you hear every one of those players speak, and they want to get back. And where this gets tricky, though, is with Kuz. What do the Los Angeles Lakers do with Kyle Kuzma? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to sign him to an extension before the deadline. I don't know if they're going to let him play out a contract year and see where those negotiations end up, or if they're going to trade him at the deadline. I have no idea what they do with Kyle Kuzma. And it's not really for them to be blamed. Kuzma had a up and down playoff run. Kyle Kuzma is a champion now, so he deserves that credit. He deserves the respect from his peers. But for as good as he was in the first 2 series against the Blazers and Rockets, it's almost as, I'm not going to say he was trash in the finals and the Western Conference Finals, but it left a lot to be desired. You saw him do everything you wanted to see him do with the first 2 series, and then it kind of flipped in the last 2 series. I don't know if the Michael Porter Jr. and Tyler Herro battles kind of got to his head and he tried to do too much, but it just seemed like when he tried to just make the simple play against the Blazers and the Rockets, he performed very well. And it looked like the Lakers were going to get that Kyle Kuzma the entire playoffs, and then who knows what happened, but it's a great problem to have for the Lakers because Kyle Kuzma will have suitors. He's a guy that on a bad team can put up points and will get fans to watch. So teams will want him if the Lakers decide not to keep him. But we won't know for at least till, I believe the trade deadline's in March. And with the amount of rest that LeBron and AD will probably want to take in the first half of the season, Kyle Kuzma will probably play a lot. He will have his chance to show kind of what he is. Along with Kuz, Schroeder, and Trez. I think those three players are key in the first half of the season. Because again, AD and LeBron did so much last season in the playoffs. If you look at their numbers compared to other superstar duos of all time, they match up. So yes, they're going to want some rest. And how you get rest is you have young players that can score with role players around. And that's what we currently have. So I like what Rob did with our team. We're set up for the now. We're set up for the playoffs, and we're set up for the future. And that's basically all you can ask from a team that just won a championship and doesn't have the picks, quote unquote, that other teams might have to get better. Where it also is, it'll be interesting to see what the Lakers go from here is with Caruso. He's going to want some money next season. I think the Lakers should be able to re-sign him for whatever he wants because I think he knows his role in Los Angeles. I think the Lakers know his importance as well. And yeah, it's every single problem the Lakers have right now is good to have. They're the champions. I don't care if they won it in a barn. You can't take away a ring. You can't call it a fluke ring. You can't say that it ages like a certain thing. A ring is a ring. People bitch, whine, moan, and complain about the Lakers and why they shouldn't have won, yet caught pleas for every other team and have reasons why they lost. So I'm like, you can't have it both ways. Either admit that this ring actually happened or shut the fuck up. And that's all I got to say about that matter. Trying to call it a fluke ring, whatever. Banner feels the same. Champ Merchant feels the same. What this did for AD and LeBron's legacy will feel the same as it did for every other single player that won a championship. So at the end of the day, who cares? Fans, no fans, travel, no travel. The best team won the championship from top to bottom, chemistry-wise. The correct team won. The number one team in the Western Conference won. And it's not like it was a fluke because how can it be a fluke if you were the best team out West the entire year? From start to finish, you were ahead of the pack by so damn much that it didn't matter how many games they threw in the bubble for the Clippers to catch up. The Lakers were never going to lose the number one seed. So again, if you're the best team in the West and you win the championship, I mean, come on. So it is what it is. Let's see. What else should we get into tonight? This probably won't be the longest podcast. There's really not much to talk about besides the Lakers being able to re-sign AD and LeBron. I knew the AD extension was coming. I didn't know for how many years. The surprising thing was LeBron. I didn't think that he was going to sign that extension this season. I thought he would do it after the season. But to know that LeBron James trusts Rob, the free agency, the Lakers tradition, the Lakers franchise, it means a lot to Laker fans because we do treat our superstars like loyalty. Once you win in Los Angeles, you are a god. You see Magic, Kareem, Kobe, Shaq, even Jerry and Wilt. Once you win in LA as a superstar, you're on this pedestal. Now, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are on that pedestal. And it's funny that people complain about Laker fans celebrating LeBron James the way they are. LeBron James just won a Finals MVP in a Lakers jersey. Do you want us to bash him? Like, I don't get that. He did everything we wanted him to do. A lot of us Laker fans called him out his first season in Los Angeles. If we said, if you're going to be who you are and talk about playoff mode, whatever, we're going to need to see it eventually. First season, okay, half our team went down, cool. Second year, we're going to need to see it once you have a running mate. You have Anthony Davis. Show us why you are who you are. And he did. So now people are upset. Laker fans are giving LeBron James his credit, his due, talking about where he stands with Michael Jordan, talking about where he stands in the legacy of the NBA. And if it's not number one, it's number two. And if it's not number two, it's number three. You can't have LeBron James personally outside of your top three to ever play this game based off of his longevity, winning with 3 teams, 3 finals MVPs with 3 different teams. That's nuts. At different stages of his NBA career, it's just nuts what he's done as longevity. It's almost unheard of for a basketball player to do what he's doing, and to do it in the different styles he's done it. And then you look at Anthony Davis. People were saying, oh, he's not top 5. He's not this. X player is better than AD. AD can't do it as a number 1, but AD anchored our defense. So I can't call him a number 2 if he's the reason why our defense was as great as it was, and if he's averaging 28 and 12 in his playoff career. I can't call you a number 2 if you're doing that. So you are a bronze 1A, AD is 1B. You can switch A or B, whatever. I don't care what you do. But don't call AD a number 2. He's not anyone's Robin. He's just Bron and AD fit that well together, which is why the Jackie Mack shit and the rest of hipster Twitter was like, how is AD going to fit with Bron? They're just going to turn AD into Chris Bosh 2.0 or Kevin Love 2.0, which was always kind of a bit just because you can see how AD impacts a game without the ball. Just watch him play defense. Then none of those players listed could ever score like AD could. So just none of those comparisons ever made sense, which is why Laker Nation has had fun victory lapping or pulling out receipts from all the so-called experts of what they thought was going to happen, and which kind of made this championship sweeter because we were a lottery team last year. And even though we got Anthony Davis, people still didn't believe that for whatever reason that it would come out like this. Yes, we might have been we weren't, how would I say it? We weren't called non-contenders, but people wanted to put the Clippers above that pedestal, above the Lakers. They wanted to put other teams above the Lakers. That just didn't make sense from an optics standpoint. How can you say the Lakers haven't proved anything while putting other teams that have never in their entire history proved something? So it was always kind of funny, the dialogue and the kind of just people being truthful with their takes instead of just not admitting that their takes were filled with bias because they hate a certain team. And now Anthony Davis gets to say he's a champion. He was the first Laker since Shaq to put up back-to-back 30-point games in the NBA Finals. So the legacy that this 2020 playoffs had on both AD and LeBron speak for itself. Almost after every single game, oh, it's AD or Bron was the first player since Shaq, first player since Kobe, first player since Magic. You name those 3 players, then yes, whatever this season, whatever this bubble thing happened, that's going to go a long way for their basketball conversation. Because we saw Anthony Davis hit a game-winning shot. We saw him lock up primary ball handlers, whereas certain players, certain superstars wouldn't. Like we saw AD not really talk that much throughout the regular season, not really talk throughout the postseason, but just show what he's about instead of always making an excuse, always doubling down like a certain other star in Los Angeles does. Instead of always having an excuse every single postseason, AD just shut up and went to work and let that speak for himself. He let the ring get to him, and to be honest, he's still just kind of low-key, kind of quiet, but we're not hearing how he's blaming a certain coach, blaming a certain system, blaming this, blaming that. And you guys all know who I'm talking about, the guy that has a different excuse every single time he gets sent home or requests to leave another franchise or just has anything to say. It is what it is. And I'm glad AD is who he is instead of the other 2-letter initial across the hallway. And again, Clippers Twitter is funny. They had all those tweets saying, "Oh, LeBron would never do this," or no, not LeBron. Kawhi would never do this. Kawhi would never go scoreless. Kawhi would never do this in the fourth. Kawhi wouldn't do this, and then it happened. Kawhi would never blow a 3-1 lead. It happened. Kawhi would never blah 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 blah, and then it happened. And then you see LeBron James and Anthony Davis just kind of shut the fuck up, go 16-5 in the NBA playoffs, and it is what it is. Season starts in 3 weeks, and I'm very excited for that to happen. Very short offseason. I do think the Lakers got younger and better. Like said earlier in this podcast, I just don't know if Dennis Schroeder will start. I prefer if he came off the bench. I would very much rather Dennis Schroeder to come off the bench and have Wes and KCP in the what's it called? Have Wes, KCP, LeBron, AD, and Marc Gasol kind of start. I would love to see that. But to me, it kind of feels like Dennis Schroeder will start. But again, during the playoff time, Frank Vogel's smart enough to adjust playoff rotations. And LeBron, if Dennis Schroeder does start, I think LeBron comes out at the 7 to 6 minute mark and just sits the rest of the first quarter. And you see like Dennis Schroeder play the entire first quarter if he does start. Vogel proved a lot with his rotations, with his willingness to adjust on the fly. Unlike certain other coaches, looking at you, Bud, in Milwaukee, the Lakers made adjustments. That's all I can say. The Lakers acted like they were about their business from day one. They didn't try to cheat the regular season. They didn't try to cheat the bubble. They tried to cut no corner, and now they're coming back as defending championships with a lot of new pieces that are hungry for a championship. So they won't be complacent in that regard. So I just think they have the correct pieces. They have the same, what would I call it? The Lakers' best 3 players from the playoffs was AD, LeBron, and KCP. We kept those. We kept one of our most important pieces with Caruso and Keefe and Kuzma. We have that. And people want to say we're going to miss JaVale and Dwight. I think whatever Mark can give you on offense almost negates what those, almost negate what the others gave you on defense. Just because Gasol can do a lot of things. He can space the floor. And again, we're judging Marc Gasol without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Yes, he might have been complete kind of trash in the bubble, but other players were kind of trash from the Raptors as well, as I believe. Siakam looked terrible. And I'm not going to say Siakam's terrible based off of one bad bubble performance. And I think that would be bad if we all did that for Siakam. So with Marc Gasol, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say, you know what? The Raptors never really had that. They had Kyle Lowry, but they didn't have that one superstar where they had with Kawhi. When Kawhi was with Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Kyle Lowry, Siakam, everyone looked better. You put Marc Gasol next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they're going to figure it out. There's too much talent within those two. There's just too much basketball IQ. They both are two-way players. You're giving them Marc Gasol, who can still play at a decent level this season. And again, we're not asking for much from Marc Gasol. We're not asking him to play 20 minutes a game. JaVale played 9 minutes in the playoffs, and Dwight Howard played, I believe, 16. We're asking Marc Gasol basically just take one of those players' minutes, cut it in half, give me 13. If Marc Gasol can give you 13 minutes, that's all we're asking from Marc Gasol, because I believe Markeith's minutes will kind of go up in the regular season as well. Then you also have Trez. Again, for as bad as Trez might have looked in for as bad as Trez might have looked with the Clippers, they don't have a LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't care what you did with the lesser duo in LA. Both of these players will prove and show up every single time they can. So it's just, I don't know. Judge Trez and Gasol off of what they do with AD and LeBron instead of what they did before AD and LeBron. The Lakers will put together a team that makes sense. The Lakers will put a team on the floor that spaces the floor, that switches on defense, that can play defense, and I don't know. Like, it's just this team makes sense. Every weakness they have can be covered by someone else on the court, and they can cover someone else's weakness on the court. That's all I'm saying when it comes to Dennis, Mark, Wes, and Trez. That's just, to me, that's why I think we won free agency. All those pieces make sense. All those pieces not only make sense for the regular season, but make sense for the postseason. Most of those reasons make sense for not just the now, but the future. And if we do miss Dwight or we do miss JaVale, there's a trade deadline to make it work. There's buyout season as well. Like the Lakers showed last year, they're not afraid to kind of they're not afraid to make adjustments. We went from not having Keith to him being a pretty big player come playoff time. Again, he went from not playing the first 50 games of our season to basically being a key contributor during the playoffs. So the Lakers will make moves if certain things don't work out. I believe Rob and Co. kind of saw that JaVale was going to drop out of the playoff rotation come playoff time, so they made an adjustment and got Keith. If Marc Gasol or someone else, Trez, aren't working come deadline time, Rob will make moves. And whether they have to move Kuzma or not to do that, they will. And again, just put any player you want next to LeBron and AD, and let me know how that works with two players that not only do they fit well together, they mesh well. Like even Anthony Davis would admit, the Lakers offense works better when the ball starts with LeBron James. With the other duo in LA, I don't know, can Kawhi initiate and play make the way LeBron did? No. So that's where it all starts, basically, for me. The Clippers had no playmaker. You give the Clippers LeBron last season, the Clippers probably win the finals. It's just that's what it comes down to me. So again, you put any player next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, knowing the way LeBron plays, I don't know. The Lakers have enough scoring, defense, playmaking, spacing to win another championship, to win championship number 18. And we will see about what Dennis wants basically this season. I know he wants to make a lot of money going forward in his NBA career, but kind of taking the back seat to superstars is what his next thing needs to be if he's going to be like a sixth-man type player for like a championship-winning team. We need to see what you can do in that role. And that's a role that can be, what's it called? You saw with the Spurs with Ginobili, if the sixth man can buy into that sixth man and produce the way you want, you're going to get 32-plus minutes. So you're going to basically be playing starter minutes. Let's just see what you can do when you're playing next to those guys. Because some people, their game enhances when they play next to two superstars. Like you saw it with KCP, you see it with Caruso. Their games are a lot higher when LeBron James and Anthony Davis are next to them. Some players' games dip. We saw that with we saw Kyle Kuzma, what he looks like with and without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So again, the Lakers will find players that fit next to LeBron and AD. So we'll see. We'll see what they do with Dennis when it comes to if he wants the ball more. You almost didn't see Rondo control that much during playoff time. It's just certain sets, certain minutes, or certain time period when LeBron was out and the Heat ran that zone. The Heat basically kind of threw that series, the 2 games they played zone against the Lakers, because Rondo destroyed that zone. Rondo made the Miami Heat, Rondo and LeBron made the Heat ditch whatever defense they were trying to do against the Lakers. If they played man the whole series, maybe the 6 games are a little bit more competitive, but I don't know. I could see Schroeder also not having the impact where Rondo had that way, but Dennis Schroeder does give you a quicker scorer, better spacing from the perimeter, and from his tape, Dennis Schroeder does look like he could play defense. And again, AD and LeBron will make the most average defender look pretty great next to them. And I think we'll end this podcast after that. Definitely we'll be back in 3 weeks, hopefully a little bit sooner. Maybe during preseason time, we will see. Make sure you guys follow on YouTube, follow on Twitter at KingWatchLA, follow Hoops and Brews, and go ahead and interact with me on the personal page at KingWatchLA on Twitter. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And until the next time we speak, go Lakers.